Welcome to episode 43, a wild week in sports of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. Welcome in, guys. We just had our first full week of college and NFL. WNBA is still going strong, so there is so much to talk about. Of course, there's some lawsuits involving the NCAA because there's always a lawsuit now, it seems, involving the NCAA. So we got a lot to talk about this week. But how's your weekend and week?
Boy, what weekend? As I was
I
telling Morgan
know.
off air, I had an article to do Friday, covered a thing with Next Gen America and Kyrie Irving's More Than a Vote. They were doing a voter outreach in North Philly. They had to go to West Philly for a nonprofit event. And then Sunday was church, but it was pretty good, man. My Eagles won. It's not all bad, I've been running, but like I told Morgan, man, rather be active and writing and reporting than doing some other things that I used to do. So it's a good time, good time to be out here reporting and doing stuff, whether that be in news and sports. Obviously, the debate was Tuesday and everything else. So we're at least I'm doing well. How about you?
Yeah, busy, busy, busy. We got back from a wedding on Sunday. Then I went right into the office to do Sunday night football. And then it's kind of just been week one react since then. Hopefully this weekend will be a little bit less crazy considering we only have one game and not three. So looking forward to the game tonight and being able to just kind of relax and watch some of these games rather than working all of them. But we're excited. We are ready to rock and roll, and let's get into some sports. How about that?
Yeah.
Give us a follow on our Instagram or our Twitters, Morgan. I'm W. Oh my gosh, M underscore India underscore Miller. Well, Kylan is at Kylan W Watson. Give us a follow, and we'll be tweeting stuff out throughout the next couple weeks of sports and life and things like that.
Right.
So, Asia Wilson and the Aces beat the Fever, where she scored her 956th point in one season, which is more than anyone else has ever done. She broke the WNBA season single season scoring record, and the season is not even over yet. So, Asia Wilson, I think, is the undisputed MVP of the WNBA once again. It's awesome to see. She just is absolutely a dominant force out there on the court, and it's exciting and it's fun to have people like that in the league. I'm sure people that are playing the Aces probably don't feel that way, but having a superstar is always good for a league, no matter if it's football, basketball, soccer, whatever that sport that is. Um,
Yeah, you caught me mid tweeting and Facebooking
Sorry.
about this podcast, but I thought you'd be a little longer. But yeah, like you said, it's great to see how dominant Asia Wilson has been. You get to a point when the game slows down when you're a superstar, especially at 28 years old. Crazy that she's only 28. I thought she was a lot younger than that, but she's been. This is her league, and she's what a season. I don't think to get to the next question, but to add my thoughts here. I don't think we will ever see another season like this. I don't think Caitlin Clark will be able to do a season like this because, like you said, 956 points. They still got like 3 or 4 games left. So, she could foreseeably, by the end of this weekend or in the next few days, have 1,000 points. She could hit 1,200 points because she's been dropping crazy video game numbers 40, 50 a night. What can you say? Angel Wilson is that girl. This is her league. Everybody else is just breathing in it. Even some of y'all's favorite Caitlin Clark. It's her league, man. She's the about to be a back-to-back-to-back MVP. I don't even think an NBA player has done that, going back-to-back-to-back. So,
yeah, it's incredible. It's an incredible feat. And she's an absolutely incredible player.
yeah. What do you think? You think you'll ever see? Would you think we'll ever see a game like this again from the WNBA player? I know Mike's going crazy.
Yeah, the mailman just got to our house.
Nah, the enemy of all dogs. Well, while she's doing that, yeah, I don't think anybody will be able to catch this. I think maybe Caitlin might get close, as she grows, but I don't think anybody will do back-to-back MVPs. I don't think, and she might go on the thing right now. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is due to eventually win a championship, but I don't think it'll be this year. She's kind of due. I don't know when the last time she won anything, maybe in high school, like an actual championship, if even then. But, I'm of the mindset that I don't think we'll ever see this again. Morgan is dealing with every dog.
They've I think calmed down a little bit. Okay, I know he just wants to be involved. Yeah, no, it's an incredible feat. It's something that you don't see often, and I don't know if we'll see again. If Caitlin Clark, I think you mentioned this, if she goes on the trajectory that she was supposed to go on in college, then I think she may have a chance. But there's a lot of really good players coming out. She's incredible, but again, there are a lot of really, really solidly incredible players that have either come out or will be coming out in the next couple of years. So I think the young talent is incredible. And I think the young talent will give Caitlin a little bit of a run for her money in that aspect. I don't know if we'll ever be able to see another athlete like A'ja.
And the crazy part is she's old because she's 28. And you ain't saying that, but in basketball years, like Caitlin and Angel are what? Early 20s? And she's like
23, 24, yeah.
Late 20s, and like they're only separated by 4 or 5 years, but she's the old woman in this comparison. Like, that's how crazy this is for her. But moving right along, we often we see it's mostly men stepping in it, but this week we got a couple of people stepping in it, and it starts with South Jersey's own, the WNBA commissioner Cathy Engelbert's Bird and Magic comparison falls short. My reaction to this, I can start here because I got a lot to say and I'll let Morgan go, but I just don't understand. Like, I totally get it, right? This is like the best and most successful season in the WNBA history, right? Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, A'ja Wilson. There's a couple of people, obviously, that contribute to this. A'ja Wilson being the main contributor, since this is her league, as Morgan and I just got through saying. But to, like, make a Bird and Magic comparison between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark when you know what you're doing, it's kind of like what I said last week about the Chicago Sun-Times and how they know what they're doing when they choose these pictures showing Caitlin Clark either getting knocked down or hard foul, that you make that your main picture. Now, Morgan and I try to be very careful when we pick thumbnails to not put people in, aggravating positions unless it's like really necessary for the thing. But even then, we're sensitive about it because, like, we want to not do something that brings these athletes undue harm. And that's where Cathy Engelbert's fell short here. Like, I tweeted yesterday, as I often do. Usually this is reserved for what's her name in LSU. But this time that energy is going to Cathy Engelbert. Did you see my tweet yesterday, Morgan?
No.
So I put, like, how hard is it for Cathy Engelbert to just say, hey, obviously this is modern day Bird Magic, right? But everybody sees this through a racial lens, right? Caitlin Clark's fans are a little bit aggressive, right? They make it so Angel Reese can't really be a normal person. She's got to have security. She's got to have emails. There was the one weird thing where somebody from Outkick found the hotel that they were in. How these random crazy weirdos find out where these people live at or are staying at is beyond me. I don't know if someone is leaking it. They're paying somebody off. Don't really know how it happens. I think that's probably how it happens, but we don't really know. But you saw that right where, that was how long ago was that? Like 3 or 4 months ago that was like a trending topic on Twitter that somebody randomly from Outkick found Angel Reese and them, and their security was there to back it up. But like the whole thing about Caitlin Clark and why they pushed her down and all this stupid stuff around that. So how hard was it for Cathy Engelbert to just say something like this? Like, obviously this is a modern day rivalry, but the extremism on from Caitlin Clark's fans jumping into these players' DMs, threatening them. What was it? Angel Reese just put on a podcast how, like, she's been getting threats since she beat her in the national, not even she, but since LSU beat them in the national title game a couple of years ago, literally 2 years ago, she's been getting threats ever since. Couldn't be a normal student at LSU. Probably had to do the Livy Dunn, where she had to be online, couldn't go anywhere on campus because it's Louisiana, so there's a lot of nutso people down there. Like, now it's in the WNBA Chicago, which should be okay. Majority black city. Nope. Like, people are finding her hotels. Like, she can't be a normal person. Y'all was jumping down her throat because she said she wants to date. She only dates basketball players. Y'all really thought y'all had a chance with a 6'5" girl? Come on now. Like I hate when people make stupid comments and then the players pay. So I think that Kathy Engelbert kind of stepped at it. She cleaned it up later, but that was after the WNBPA basically came out and said this was a dumb comment. We hate it. Essentially, without saying it, some of y'all need to read between the lines sometimes of these statements. Basically, Kathy's literally fighting for her job, because that's the next question that we're talking about. But she kind of stepped in it because, like, even Larry Bird and Magic Johnson said, like, back then, obviously it was just basketball, but it became more than basketball. Larry Bird talks about it to this day, about like how people really like were using him and Magic to talk about the racial wars from back before Morgan and I were born, right? There's a whole, shouting out Morgan's former profession, a whole theater production around this. I don't know if that's still on Broadway, but I know that there at one point was a whole theater production around Bird and Magic. I don't know if it went into the racial stuff. Probably didn't, because Hairspray didn't. So why would Bird and Magic? So I am of the mindset that, when you make these kind of comparisons, you should be sensitive to what happens, especially when it comes to not Caitlin Clark herself, but her extreme fan base. So Kathy Engelbert, I'm trying to be careful because she's also my she's not her. And I know that's usually reserved for, what's my girl on LSU? Come on, Morgan.
Kim Mulkey.
That's usually reserved for Kim Mulkey. But Kathy Engelbert really stepped in it. And, I'm trying to be respectful because Morgan knows I can go. Y'all see that I'm going off of this stuff that turns into racial and sociological. It's a whole thing. But I'm going to leave it at this. Kathy Engelbert, she cleaned it up. But the first statement was her worst statement, As Maya Angelou says, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. It's all about the money, and that's all they see, And I hate saying that about a woman from South Jersey and my area of Jersey, but now you stepped in it, and you probably need to think about what you did and why the Players Association and everybody else so roundly criticized what you did that you had to come in with a more cleaned up PR statement. Morgan?
Yeah, I think that, what you'll hear a lot of people say is, well, she didn't mean it like that. She didn't blah, blah. Yes, that's probably true. She probably did not mean it to come off though in that way. I think but that doesn't excuse it. Whenever you go into these kind of meetings, what you're going to be asked, pretty much. Like, you have to know you're going to be asked about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Like, you have to know that that's something that's going to be asked. And if you can't eloquently answer that, then maybe the commissioner job isn't the job for you. But, just because you want to, I think she was trying to raise up what Caitlin Clark has done for women's basketball, because she kind of talked a lot about sponsorships and money and that kind of stuff, like you said, Kylan. And that's all well and great, but there is a deeper issue that's been rooted in all of this that everybody can see. And, it seemingly has been like people are kind of just still avoiding this topic of, well, there are two fan bases and one is being not so great to the other. And, if that one fan base was just kind of outwardly called out to say, hey, stop, it's not fun. It's not funny anymore. It's not entertaining for anyone. Then I think this would be a really different situation, and people would be praising her, but she didn't do that. She had an opportunity to go out there and say, hey, you guys need to chill the F out. These comments are not okay. These criticisms are not okay. These are still two young women that are playing in a highly competitive league. They're both playing really, really well. So support your team and be supportive of your player, but being supportive of your player doesn't mean you have to tear down somebody else. And I think that that's something that is very hard for people to do in a lot of different aspects of sporting events. And, you know, you hear people say, well, I'm not rooting for injuries or I'm not rooting for that. Well, just don't say it then. Just support your player, support your team, support the people that you like. But supporting your player does not mean that you need to tear down somebody else, because frankly, they play different positions anyway. So
that does not mean you need to jump in. Let's just make examples for people that don't know. Jump in players' DMs, threatening them. Now the whole team got to get security. Jump in, you know, interview, ambush interviewing, like trying to act like you're a hack political. Let me be respectful to the political reporters. A hack political reporter and ambushing people in the airport or in their hotel rooms and whatever 5-star hotels that they're in, or I don't know if this has happened yet, or on the plane. Like, leave these players alone, y'all. Y'all did not know them in real life.
It's a big reason why they had to get private planes.
Yep. So moving right along, is Kathy Engelbert the type of commissioner the WNBA needs during this time of prosperity? Morgan?
You know, I have to say, I don't know if she's done a terrible job always. You know, there have been some things that she has gotten done in the last couple years, I guess, you know, the higher pay, the TV deals, the private jets. But this was a pretty big blunder. You know, this was it. To give her credit, let's be fair, the WNBA has not been the center of attention in a long time, ever, right? This is kind of one of the first years that the WNBA has been the absolute center of attention for this, that, and the other. And so I don't know how used to doing press that is seen by the entire world she is. Again, not making excuses for her, but, you know, maybe she needs some more media training. I'm not calling for her to lose her job, but I think she might need to do a little bit more media training.
I'm not here to, as I fix my collar, praise. I'm here to bury her, not to praise her. So, look, I mean, obviously she did a great job. She's a great and a shrewd negotiator. She got NBC, TNT, not TNT, NBC, CBS, and Amazon to pay for WNBA rights. Like, obviously, she's a shrewd negotiator. She is good at the financial aspect. And I think there's been a bunch of players who have brought this up. She's great at the financial side. And I don't know this because I'm not a women's basketball player who gets to meet with Kathy Engelbert on a daily basis, but it seems like she's one of those, you know, one of those typical CEO corporate types, right? Who knows how to be a shrewd negotiator, but doesn't really have the people skills to be in that position. Now, look, I'm trying to be careful because this is a man judging a woman that does not know him, that does not know her. But in this case, because we know from the lawsuits, whether that be Derek Hamby, you know, obviously the Becky Hammond stuff, she like the evidence is there that she's not really good at the people aspect of managing a league that is 90 or whatever it is % black in the high 80s, right? So I mean, if you can't handle the this is why I've been saying this for a while since the WNBA, as a long-time WNBA fan, that media and a lot of people within the WNBA are not trained well and or are not prepared for the prosperity of women's basketball being so in, as Morgan said, in the front line. And she's one of them. She shouldn't be there. Like this was a test, right? This is what you're gonna get every time Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, your money rivalry comes together. Like that's the marquee matchup, right? It's like Angel Wilson versus Breanna Stewart. It's the marquee matchup now. Like that's the next generation right there. That's the marquee matchup. That's Lisa Leslie versus Rebecca Lobo. That's your Serena, you know, to make a more apt comparison. That's your Serena Williams versus the Russian girl whose name everybody forgets, Maria Sharapova. This is your matchup, right? Because that's probably a more apt comparison than Bird Magic anyway. You know, that's no disrespect to Caitlin Clark. Obviously, like she has the skill set, but as far as championship wise, she's missing a couple championships, and that's mostly because of Angel Reese, whether that's in Maryland or LSU, right? So, and South Carolina, like, you know, she doesn't have that championship success. So right now, it's more apt to say she's Maria Sharapova versus Serena Williams, you know. But I am of the mindset that, Kathy Engelbert is not the person for this. She's the Mark Jackson, right? She led them to prosperity. But this might be somebody else's job that's more apt. It might be a lawyer types. It might be a marketer, somebody who understands what's going on and the lens this is going through, who can better handle that and won't piss off the players and the fan base. I have never seen such a united front between media, players, fans. Everybody was jumping down Kathy Engelbert's throat yesterday. So like that is such a competence that you got media, because as Morgan knows, it's very rare for current players, former players, media members, and fans to all agree on one thing. When you're bringing all of that together, you screwed up. Like that's Kim Mulkey levels of screwing up. Like so like I am of the mindset that Kathy Engelbert is not that person. She's not her. She's not her for this job. That's it. She's not built for it. And again, I'm trying to be sensitive because I know there's some people that are like, you're a man judging a woman. But in this case, just look at the lawsuits. Look at everything else that everybody says. Look at the tweets from the current and former players. You'll find what I'm talking about. And that's just that, this as we, y'all know a Kathy Engelbert, somebody who's like a boss level type, but doesn't have the people skills. Y'all know, we all know a bunch of people like that we all question how they got where they are.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna move on to we're gonna stay in the WNBA, not the WNBA. We're not staying anywhere. We're going to the NCAA. So we're gonna talk South Dakota State University and University of South Dakota Board of Regents sues the NCAA for unfair payments because of the House versus NCAA settlement. We knew this was coming from someone, right? Everybody was saying that this was not fair, X, Y, and Z. We knew this was coming. The NCAA had to know this was coming. Will more schools follow? I don't know. Will they win? I also don't know. I don't know. I think the whole settlement thing is stupid to begin with. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm of the mindset that South Dakota State is one of many schools that are going to do this. We've seen it already. South Dakota State, the University of Albany. Shout out to Albany, New York. I know y'all never thought that we would mention you on this show, but there you are. There you go. Like there are a bunch of small schools. I brought this up. Morgan remembers me talking about this a few months ago where I said we were talking about the JMUs and the other schools of the world who have to pay the majority of this settlement, whereas, the Penn States, the Michigans, the Alabamas, the bigger schools get to skate because they're in the big prestigious conferences, and all these schools have to blow their athletics budget funding these players that are from the SEC and the Big Ten. And it wasn't fair. And, clearly South Dakota State, we don't really give South Dakota praise for anything else. I mean, look at their governor, right? But, South Dakota State University and the University of South Dakota, the Board of Regents, they're right in this aspect. Like, it is unfair that the smaller and medium-sized schools have to pay for the stupidity that the bigger schools and the NCAA did. Like, the NCAA and the bigger schools should be paying this, and really, like, 2% of this.
No matter how much we talk about this, it still doesn't make sense to me why they did this. Like, I can't understand why this was something that they thought was, like, a good idea or to do. So,
probably because they didn't think that these small schools will have the balls to
probably.
Yeah. But is the settlement deal dead now for the NCAA? Yes. Like the judge, we didn't even talk about this because South Dakota State is taking up all the oxygen right now. But the judge last week killed it because she did not like the fact that they were basically telling these collectives that they can't buy in essentially to these colleges that they are alums of or have big money invested in. I always thought that was stupid. Y'all heard me last week talking about how trickle-down economics really doesn't work, and it especially won't work in college sports. But yeah, to make this short, yeah, the deal's dead. It's dead in the water. The NCAA, as Morgan has said, are basically trying to have their cake and eat it too. Like at this point, the NCAA just needs to dissolve now because that's where this is all going. Move on out the way. Big money's coming. It's about to be the wild, wild west of college sports. And you old heads and young bucks might as well get ready. Morgan?
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely.
Yeah, so I have joked with Morgan that this lawsuit is the lawsuit of players, former college football washouts and former NFL players who everyone forgot about. Denard Robinson, Braylon Edwards, and others are suing the University of Michigan for 50 mil in NIL. And so my reaction to this is, like I said, it's about time. I was half joking with Morgan that maybe Hashim the Beat now will sue the UConn for the money that he missed out on for NIL. Remember that back when he was the star of UConn basketball? I'm of the mindset that a lot of alums of a lot of college basketball programs, if they're not on good terms with their alums, they better get on good terms with their alums, because or else you're gonna look stupid like Michigan. Because why are you getting sued by Denard Robinson, the person who was on the last NCAA video game before it went on hiatus? Like, he couldn't get his money. He deserved his money. Braylon Edwards, like Morgan and I remember Braylon Edwards. He was a crazy college football receiver. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that as y'all, like, the plays he made were crazy, man. He made a lot of bad quarterbacks look great. if you're a Lions fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's what Calvin Johnson did for a lot of y'all quarterbacks. So yeah, I am of the mindset that this is just the beginning. And my reaction to this is, I don't understand why Michigan wasn't on better terms with their football alums. No, yeah, let me let you.
I have a very different take. I think this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Okay.
You can't sue something for something that you didn't have, like that. I don't know. I mean, it's like, there's a million things that when I look back on, in high school, that the high school kids get now that I didn't get when I was in high school, or the college kids at my university get in the same program that I was in, get that I'm not in the school anymore. Like, that sucks. You're older. You moved on. You move on. Yeah. And I know that, like, maybe it's different to say, but like, you can say that in every aspect of the way. I mean, hell, my husband's, he was an accounting major at JMU, and the year after he left, they built a brand new state-of-the-art $1 billion or whatever business school. He doesn't sue the school because he got worse facilities than they got. I don't know. I just think that this is such a bad precedent to start. Like, yeah, you be happy for the kids. Like, you fought for these kids to get it. And I know it's not fair, but it's also not fair. Life is not fair. You know what I mean? So
you know what's weird? I actually, like, you make good points. Like, I can't, usually I'd be like, no, but Morgan, but in this case, I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like, I'm not suing Syracuse because the year after I left, they gave them 4K cameras. So I'm
not suing JMU. I'm not suing JMU because now they take their entire senior class to New York City and do a showcase in New York City that all of them get agents from, and I didn't have that. Like, it's just stupid. Like, you can't. It's such a looking in the back, looking in the past, and like, yeah. I guess
the only argument I would make, not against your point, but I guess their argument would be like, they were getting paid under the table to come to Ann Arbor anyway, and maybe that's
sure, and maybe that's how you sue. I don't know, but like, at some point, I don't know. I mean, you got to go to university for free, which everybody else didn't get to do, that goes to the University of Michigan. You got an education from an amazing school. If they didn't choose to participate in classes and things like that, that's not the university's fault, So I don't know. I would be shocked if they get anything from this, because I mean, who knows? Michigan might pay them under the table hush money. Who knows? But it just seems like a terrible precedent to start, that you can sue for something that happened when you no longer are a part of that organization. And these aren't players that that was like the year before NIL. These are players that were like,
when we were in middle school,
a long time ago. Like, they didn't even sniff NIL.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we will, again, like I said earlier, like, I think you'll see this if you have bad alumni relations. If you're a school with good alumni, sports alumni relations, you won't see this lawsuit. But if you've got bad alumni relations, you're going to see this lawsuit.
Yeah.
But moving right along to the most serious topic that happened over the weekend. I know there was a bunch of them, but this one. Yeah. Tyreek Hill was arrested by the Miami-Dade Police Department, and our reaction is, so I will not show that video, because that video is triggering for a lot of people, whether you've been arrested or not. especially if you are black or brown in this country. So we will not be showing that video. But you can look it up. I still have yet to see it, but I've seen the reactions to it. I think that there are obviously, like, I have police officers in my family and stuff like that, but I just think that there are a lot of horrible police officers in these amongst the ranks. And I know some people say, well, it's just one bad apple, but the other half of that saying is one bad apple spoils the bunch. So I'm of the mindset that these cops, and I know that they weren't white. They were all, I believe, Cuban or of Latino descent. But I'm of the mindset that black, white, Puerto Rican, Latino, whatever. Like, if you're a cop on a power trip, you're a cop on a power trip. And just because you decided to abuse a rich and famous wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, Tyreek Hill can catch as many footballs that he wants. He's still black in this country. And that's what happened yesterday. We got to see what a lot of y'all conservatives and people who thought, man, Colin Kaepernick shouldn't say anything. What does he have to deal with? I keep telling y'all that whether they score touchdowns, put baskets in the hoop, win gold medals for y'all, at the end of the day, a lot of y'all see is this before you see anything else. And you can say you're colorblind all you want. You're ignorant. Whenever I hear somebody say that, I just know you're ignorant to the struggles, because I don't get to say, hey, I'm not black today, right? Like, come on. Like, so I am of the mindset that, that's where I'm at with it. It's terrible. I hope that cop, gets as much justice as you could expect in Miami. But I just think my whole question is kind of like Mike Wilbon. I'm wondering, right, like, this was a rich wide receiver, a rich athlete, black athlete. Now, what do these cops do to the normal people in Miami, the black people, the normal black people in Florida that don't have Calais Campbell coming out of nowhere to tell you who they are, and he gets arrested, that don't have the Miami Dolphins teammates? And it's really ironic, because we know that the Miami Dolphins owner, he's a big contributor to the other guy's campaign, and a big police contributor. Now, look, sometimes this stuff overlaps, so I'm gonna just tell y'all, this overlaps here. So, I am of the mindset that more needs to be done. I know Tyreek Hill is teasing that he's gonna do something else, but I just think the NFL needs to do something else about this. It's time to make a stand. It's rare that you get a second chance to do right by your players. They didn't do right with Colin Kaepernick, and now they get to try and see if they can do right by Tyreek Hill. And it's the NFL, so they'll probably fail at that too, but they have a chance. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm not trying to go too deep on it, because I did that with Kathy Engelberg, but I think I got my points out. Morgan?
Yeah. I think that a lot of things can be true in this situation. Meaning you can look at Tyreek Hill as a human being and be like, not a great dude, like, not a great human being. And maybe could have been nicer at the very beginning, but the way that it was handled by the police officers was never okay and was horrible. And, I think if you've seen Tyreek's press conferences this week, he has come out and even said there are a few things I could have done differently, but the way they handled it was horrible. And that's exactly right. Exactly right. Maybe the first minute of it, you're watching it and you're like, Tyreek, maybe like, but then after that, it's like, it's just a total power trip. It's horrible. And he should not have been treated like that, no matter how bad of a person he is, right? Beating your pregnant wife is not acceptable ever. Getting 11 people or 10 people pregnant in a year, not acceptable, really, ever. But that does not mean that you are not, that you can be pulled over and treated like you are worthless just because of that. And so I see people saying that on the internet, well, he doesn't deserve this because X, Y, and Z. Well, that didn't matter in that moment. That was not what this was about. That is a conversation for a different time. What happened before the game on Sunday was unacceptable to every single level. And I think Tyreek should do something about it, and again, I think that the majority of this country has hopefully majority of this country has come together to kind of say, like, thank goodness they are wearing body cams, because what the hell happened when they weren't wearing body cams? And we know what happens when they weren't wearing body cams. And it's even more horrible. So, I was happy that Tyreek was able to played very well on Sunday. That made me happy that it did not ruin, his first game and things like that. And it was inspiring to see his teammates and friends kind of standing up for him, even though it was putting themselves in a situation that was scary and unwarranted, I guess.
Mm-hmm. All right, so moving right along to the other half of things that broke after this show. Dak Prescott and Jalen Ramsey got paid. My reaction, no, you start this one.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, like certain players, you just are like, okay, like you're just waiting for it. Like they weren't ever not going to pay Dak. Like they've said it that they were going to do it.
I mean, it was close though because his dad and brother were ready, and we all thought it was over.
I don't know. I did not have I was like, whatever, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. When I saw the news come in, I was like, okay, it is way too much money for Dak Prescott. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you're a Cowboys fan. It's way too much money. Every contract now is the highest and the best. Like at some point, you got to be like, you are not the best quarterback in the league. You're not.
Hey man, yesterday's price ain't today's price.
No, I know.
Jerry Jones was Howie Roseman. This wouldn't be.
No, I trust me. I'm a very big proponent of look at what happened to the Giants. Like, do not need to pay your quarterback that much money. You don't. But I guess good for Dak. I don't really have many opinions of it. I don't think he's a very consistent quarterback. I think he's fine. Mm-hmm. If I were a Cowboys fan, I'd be pissed at how much money they spent on him, but I'm not, and good for him. Get your bag while you can.
I mean, like I said, it's very clear that, these are two players, right? One is a little bit younger than the other. Obviously, Ramsey got a ring, so now it's all just gravy for him. But, I'm of the mindset that both of these guys are probably could have gotten less and still been fine,
Yes.
But they're both a product of taking advantage of bad GMs. Like Jalen Ramsey, he might have held out, but where was he going? Nobody wanted that contract. Dak Prescott may have had more options, but I'm of the mindset that these are two players who totally deserve their bag, what they got currently. But I'm just not of the mindset that a Dak Prescott right now and a Jalen Ramsey right now will equal a Super Bowl. Like we've all seen, Jalen Ramsey has been getting cooked lately, mostly by DK Metcalf. But I mean, he still gets cooked now because he's aging. He's not the cornerback that he was 3 or 4 years ago. Dak Prescott is clearly not the quarterback he was 2-3 years ago, but he cooked the Cleveland Browns, and if you were a Dak Prescott fantasy owner, you were really happy on Sunday, and I'm of the mindset that, get your bag, but I don't think these two players equal Super Bowls. But hey, as far as the Cowboys now, you just got to pay Micah Parsons, and then you'll just have Morgan and I and people like us on the team after that. Because after, I don't know where Jerry Jones is going to get the rest of his money from after now he's paid CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and he has to pay Micah next year. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what Jalen Ramsey's on the Rams, right? Where is he now? The Dolphins? He's on the Dolphins, right?
I think he is on the Dolphins.
Yeah, so he's on the Dolphins. So, we'll see. But moving right along, speaking of NFL Week 1 thoughts. So my thoughts here are, Saquon Barkley. Can we talk?
He looked really good. Really good.
3 touchdowns behind that offensive line. Best offensive line he's ever been behind. And
the only offensive line he's ever been behind. We don't have an offensive line.
And as somebody who unfortunately had to play somebody that owned him in fantasy, I got destroyed. So any other time, he can score 3 touchdowns any other time except for when he's facing me in fantasy. But I'm of the mindset that my mind is Saquon looking great. What is the Dak Prescott obviously looking great. I don't know what's wrong with the Browns. I was about to say the Cavaliers were wrong team. I don't know what's wrong with the Browns. Their defense was their whole strength, and that just imploded. I did not know that a defense outside of New York, Philly, and Washington can make Dak Prescott look like he's Steve Young out there. Like Tom Brady, like even Tom Brady was impressed. He was like, I don't think he's ever looked this good in his life. No, because I don't know.
I mean, the Browns are falling apart at the seams. They are. Deshaun Watson looks terrible. He's not the quarterback he once was, and there's another scandal. And I'm just, that's a
yeah, that's a weird that like it's a big time sports week when we can't even get to Deshaun Watson sex scandals.
Yeah, that is. Don't worry. Oh, we will. That's my. He's not him. Don't you worry.
But like like that thing. I think for me it was more about the ain'ts than the is right. Like 49ers look great. Like I thought they might struggle, but again they were facing what's left of the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is not him. I don't know what the Jets were doing, but they should have cut bait last season, but they didn't. I think, like I said, I think it's more about the ain'ts more than anything else. Like, are the Saints really that good? No. And by the way, I'm not trying to insult I said the ain'ts before I said Saints. I know that there's New Orleans fans that are mad at me right now. Trust me, I was not trying to do that. That was just in person. I mean the ain'ts as in like all these teams. I think it's more about the ain'ts. Like the Bills looked all right, but they struggled. Like I don't know what it's going to look like for this game against Miami just because it's Josh Allen and he basically just needs to throw to himself at this point. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Like week 1 was great. It was a clear denotation between the haves and the have-nots.
It was a really entertaining week of a day of like weekend of sports for football. It was a lot of good matchups, a lot of comebacks, which are always really fun to watch if you don't have a what is it, a hat in the ring?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yep.
I think the rookie quarterbacks, I think, looked pretty good for rookie quarterbacks. I think Caleb Williams looked good. Like the biggest thing for both of them, even for Jaden Daniels, was I know they lost, but they didn't lose because of Jaden Daniels, Like they lost because they're not a good football team, which is, we knew that they're the Washington Commanders, but neither him nor Caleb Williams lost them, or Bo Nix lost the game for them.
Right. Yeah, there's going to be a coaching change in Denver. You heard it here first. 4:55 Eastern time. Sean Payton is not going to last. like it's over.
Yeah, so we touched on it a little bit, but let's talk about the game tonight. So Buffalo versus Miami on Thursday Night Football. We got our first Thursday Night Football game of the season. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a good game. We're still kind of waiting to hear if some of the Miami running backs are going to play. Achane is officially out, I think. Am I right? Or are we still waiting on Achane?
I think we're still waiting, but I can check. Hold on. You go ahead and keep talking. I'll check for you.
Yeah. So, the Dolphins are going to be significantly weaker. They're going to have some holes this week. The Buffalo defense, I thought, looked fairly solid last week. So I think it'll be an interesting matchup. The offense in Buffalo always kind of seems to.
So Mostert is out. Malik Washington is out.
Okay.
Achane is still questionable, so he's probably going to play and Mostert's out.
But probably be on a snap count or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Jalen Ramsey is on this list, but he was a full participant, so something with a hamstring, so he'll probably play today. Josh Allen has a left hand injury.
Yeah, but he's going to play.
Yeah, he's going to play. So it's looking other than you, Raheem Mostert. It looks like if you're a big fan,
they'll miss Mostert. Not having him will be again. So like I said, there'll be some holes. I think it'll be fairly evenly matched up. Josh Allen drops some bombs down the field, get some big running plays, and make some connections with his tight ends. I think they have a shot. Yes. I'm always rooting for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, so I would love them to win. But I actually think it's going to be a good game, a good close game. That's my prediction.
Colin hates Josh, huh? I don't hate Josh, but I think this will be a great showing for Josh Allen. But I just think it looks like it does every Bills game. Like he does the most and they still lose. So I think that this is the Dolphins' game to lose. Like I think that if they don't come out and look dominant like they did the last time, then This can, and obviously without Raheem Mostert, it'll look different. But I still think they have A-Chain. They have enough. Tua Tagovailoa, as long as he's throwing it deep and it can stay on his feet. I think this is going to be. I semi disagree with Morgan. I think this is going to be. I think that if there's any game that there's going to be a blowout, it'll be this game. I think that Miami won't play with them, especially on a short week. So I'm thinking 34-20. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think Tua's gonna. I don't think the Dolphins are gonna want to play around. But obviously this is the second week of the NFL season. Again, those of you big time football fans, the first 2 weeks always look sloppy on the offensive side, and then it picks up. So we'll see. But that's my score. I think that Tua has to be great, has to make his connections. Obviously, this will come down to an offensive line battle, like whose offensive line can keep the quarterback up and whose quarterback has to do less. Ultimately, I think that'll end up being Tua because the Dolphins have a better team than the Bills. I mean, everybody essentially, even the Browns have a better team right now than the Bills because it's literally just Josh Allen and nothing else after that. So that's where I am. But Morgan could be right, and it could be a very close game.
Yeah, I'm thinking 21-24 Buffalo. But
Okay.
Let's go and look at some of these other games. I think there's some really intriguing matchups this week. Again, some that are just like, meh, whatever. If you're a fan of that team, I'm sure you'll enjoy them. But I think the big ones that people are looking forward to, obviously, is the Bengals versus the Chiefs, which will be 4:25 on Sunday. It's always fun to see Joe Burrow play against Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes.
Now he looks like he did
Well, I was just about to say Joe Burrow tends to struggle in the first couple games of the season. It's the last few years, and I think that doesn't help that he's been injured the later part of the season the last couple of years. So, I think that's why they wanted to get this game in early. But I do think that it'll be a good showing. I think that there's a lot of pressure for Joe Burrow to come out and show himself off. I think that the Bears-Texans game on Sunday Night Football is going to be an awesome game. Two young quarterbacks going up against each other. I think the Texans are by far a better team. I do expect the Texans will pull that game out. But, it'll be fun to watch those two play against each other. And then the only other game that is comparable with how bad the two teams are is the Commanders and the Giants. It's always a fun in-season or in-division rivalry.
Your first one of the season right there.
The first, 2-0-1 team, somebody's got to come out with the win unless we tie, which we've done before. So those are my 3 games that I'm looking forward to watching this week. Besides the game tonight, I think the game tonight's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think I got the game tonight. I obviously have Eagles Falcons just because I think that's going to look good. Even though the Eagles defense did look really dominant, I still think that they tend to struggle against explosive running backs. So I'm interested to see what a Vic Fangio defense does against Bijan Robinson, the man who should be an Eagle. But I think that'll be an interesting matchup. I still think the Eagles win, better team, better everything than the Falcons. But I think you can't the Eagles they take the Falcons likely. They can be got, but I think that's a good one. I'm with you on Bengals Chiefs. I also think the Texans Bears. Y'all know I'm pro Caleb Williamson. But I also just want to see the 49ers game. I know that because I want to see if Christian McCaffrey will actually play. I think that this is good for the 49ers to gain some confidence. I don't even know who did they play. Probably the Rams. No one knows.
The 49ers?
Yeah.
Vikings.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. That'll be a good game. 49ers, Vikings. I think that'll be interesting. Christian McCaffrey probably plays. But that calf is clearly bothering him if he couldn't play on Sunday. So we'll see. But that's my matchups. 49ers, Vikings, Eagles, Falcons, Bengals,
Chiefs.
Bengals, Chiefs, Texans. I'm all for CJ Stroud getting on more people's TVs. Top teams in the NFL right now. So for me, Eagles, Niners, in no particular order. Let me reverse that. Chiefs, Niners, Eagles, And then just by default, just because I have to, because I'm limiting myself to a top 4/top 5. I gotta begrudgingly say the Cowboys because of what they did to the Texans. I mean, not the Texans, because of what they did to the Browns. Because I thought the Browns would be better. And I want to say the Lions too, but they just struggled too much against the Rams, and the Rams really don't have like a defense that's really fear like that really puts fear in you anymore. Now that Aaron Donald is napping with his wife, that's his wife, right? Not his girlfriend, with his wife on the couch, like I believe. So did you see that video? I know they probably put that on PFT, so I know you probably saw that video. But yeah, those are my 5. Begrudgingly, the Cowboys ahead of the Lions. Morgan?
Yeah, I have the Chiefs. I have the 49ers, the Lions. You know, I don't really have – I think that if –
The Lions over the Eagles? Okay.
If the Eagles play the way they played in Brazil, then I will put them in. But I always feel like kickoff games, I don't know, I felt like it was kind of a fluke. I think Saquon wanted to prove something, and he does not run like that every game, I don't think. So we'll see.
He's saving it for that 5 touchdown performance against the Giants in 3 weeks.
They're teetering. They're teetering on my top list. So yes. Let's move on to college football. Nebraska just absolutely destroyed Colorado. They, you know, Nebraska is a team that is known for having a great line, a big defense, some big boys.
But never a quarterback. This is the first time in forever that they actually have a quarterback.
Yeah. And I think that Colorado is a poorly coached team.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to a podcast, and I wish I could give credit. It may have been PFT that I was listening to, or PMT, one of those sports podcasts that, you know, every team when they play Alabama gives that team their all. Colorado is now also in that category of every team when they play Colorado, they're going to be given their all because of just how obnoxious they have been. You know, regardless of the rumors of, you know, Shedeur wanting them to play his rap song when he scores a touchdown are true. They don't sound good.
That's confirmed.
Confirm that it's true or false?
It's very true. They say.
Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of things that they're wearing, chains and gold watches, and, you know,
nothing.
A lot of other teams are going to come in and just try and beat the crap out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the mindset that, like, again, I've said this before, like, I think that Deion really checked that his team isn't good enough to cash, especially this season. Like, I kind of came at him for promoting his friends, Warren Sapp and them. And I just think it's kind of confirmed, like, that defensive line was supposed to be different. Nah. The offensive line, nah. Like, I think right now, and I heard this on Twitter myself, I wish I could give it credit, but Colorado is essentially like Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, like draft. I
was gonna say they have really good
increase their draft stock.
They have really, really good like, what are they called? Not specialty players.
Specialists?
No, like running back, wide receiver, quarterback, like those kind of players are really good, but you can't do anything if you don't have a line or a defense behind them, you know?
Right. Yeah. So I'm of the mindset like you that, like, I just think that we're witnessing the end of the Coach Prime era in Colorado. I think that, you know, I just think it looks bad, man. Like, last year you had that victory. You want to talk about food victory? Y'all remember I was one of the few people in media talking about how they just beat a TCU team that was weak. That says nothing about Colorado. Colorado is going to be a weak team that's going to disappoint a lot of y'all. I'm saying it again. Like, they might actually go 0-12, and they're in the Big 12, which is saying something. But I think that this week they're a guaranteed win because it's against Colorado State. And I will eat crow because y'all know I usually don't pick Colorado for anything. But I just think that they'll be able to beat Colorado State. They'll get like 3, maybe 2 wins this year, and then suck the rest of it. And then once Shador leaves and Travis Hunter leaves this summer, it's over. But I just think that Colorado just it's all this hype for a team that is just literally, like I said a few weeks ago, Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter and no one else. Like, that's it. So is Deion Sanders really the coach that can take the University of Colorado to a promised land? No. And I just say this just because, like, I think that eventually Deion's going to take the show to Florida State. I think that this is what this is all about. Florida State is sucking right now. I think he'll end up at Florida State University. I think that if Deion wants to actually, like, he needs to. Somebody said this. They were writing an article. I think it was in Denver Sports article about how, like, what's his name, the Nebraska coach, for all his flaws, he ingratiated himself in the Temple's culture as far as the traditions and everything on the football team. Did it in Baylor. It's doing it in Nebraska. Like, Deion, it is not just about your kids, bro. Like, it's not just about Shador. It's not just about Shiloh. It's not just about Travis Hunter. Let the band play the fight song, bro. Like, get ingratiated into this stuff. Be humble. Like, you've done a lot in the NFL, but you've done nothing in college football. Like, nothing. Like, your friends it's always the beginning of the end for a football coach when you start hiring your friends. What is Warren Sapp doing as your defensive line coach? Like, what are you doing, bro? So you got a lot going on. I think that Colorado needs to start thinking about their other options. I know they don't want to because the money's coming in on the football team, but it's about time to start looking at other options.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of going down, Notre Dame. Oh, the hearts at NBC wept for this one. Notre Dame goes down to Northern Illinois University. Now, I mentioned this earlier. I was on a story assignment, so I missed this game. I only heard about it. I got out of my event that I was covering for the Tribune. I get in my Uber. I look up. There's a double rainbow, which is a rare occurrence for those of you that don't live in the Northeast, a double rainbow. And then I look at my phone, and I see everybody's texting me about Notre Dame falling. I'm all like, what the heck going on? Then I look and I'm like, oh, they actually lost to a school that they paid to play them. Those that don't know, whenever you see these matchups like Notre Dame, NIU, Syracuse versus school you never heard of, JMU versus school you never heard of, there's a lot of money that went to that school to play and be a cupcake. We're not insulting these schools when we call them cupcakes because that's what they're paid to be, cupcakes, right? So NIU had their Appalachian State moment, and good for them, good for that coach. I don't know what's going on with Notre Dame's head coach, with Coach I know his name's Marcus, with Coach Marcus
Friedman.
Marcus
Friedman.
I don't know what's going on with Coach Freeman, but he's gotta get it together. The Notre Dame alums, Morgan and I know a couple of them. They're not gonna stand losing to NIU. So I would get your stuff together, man, because like I don't mean to bring but black coaches don't really get that opportunity, bro. So like, don't mess it up. And I think he'll get it together. Obviously, it's only his second or third season. He'll be all right, but he can't stomach losing. Them alums won't stomach losing to another NIU. So it's unfortunate, but this is what happens. This is what's prone to happen early in the college football season.
Yeah, we were at a wedding and we looked down and we saw that Notre Dame was down with a minute left, and we turned the game on. So we only caught the very end of it, but crazy. It was crazy. Good for NIU. They looked great at the end of the game. I think Coach Friedman has had an issue with kind of clock management and stuff like that. I'm not sure if that played into their loss here. But I was told that some poor decisions, maybe coaching wise, were made at certain points during the game. So he's kind of just got to get it together. Notre Dame's got to get it together. I'm sure they will. And, if they still win out, they'll still be in the college playoffs because that's how Notre Dame works. But it's definitely an entertaining evening if you're someone who likes to see ranked opponents lose, as I do.
Chaos, bro. We're pro chaos in college football. But I wasn't when it looked like Penn State was going to lose. But once Penn State won, and then it became everybody else. I was like, go lose everybody else. But CFB week 3, most intriguing matchups. My Syracuse Orange are off this week, so I really, I'm looking at Penn State's matchup. I think that's going to be intriguing. Again, it didn't look great last week against the school that they played. I don't know what was going on with Penn State. Didn't watch that game. Was more focused on Syracuse, Georgia Tech. But I think Penn State's got to get it together. Who are they playing? I should know this, but Penn State, that'll be intriguing.
I have it right here. Penn State is playing. Oh my gosh, you just saw it. Where was it? They're ranked 8. I'll find it in a second.
While she's doing that, I think the Michigan matchup, Michigan.
They might have the week off. I don't see them on the slate.
Okay, well there you go. Penn State's not playing, so I am of the mindset that I am. Hold on, let me look. You go. Let me look. This
yeah,
up.
so JMU plays tonight. So that's my big game. I'm gonna fight with myself with the TV. Dan's out of town. So they play. I think it's 7 or. Okay, I thought they played tonight. Just kidding. They don't play tonight. They're off this week. So,
everybody's off.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought they played tonight. I was like so convinced that I had a game to watch tonight. I guess I don't. They don't play till they play UNC. I don't know. It's still kind of cupcake weeks. Like they're still playing these like stupid games that like I don't know aren't really.
So it's Kansas State, Arizona. I think that'll be a good matchup. Former Syracuse coach Dino Babers is the OC at Arizona, so I think that'll be a good matchup. Arizona, low key, the 20th ranked program. I don't know if they're really that good, but we've got Oregon State. I think that'll be a good matchup. Oregon should win that. LSU, South Carolina, the battle of the basketball schools. Michigan, I think Michigan might be on upset alert. I don't know about Arkansas State, other than the fact that their band is really good, but I think that Michigan should be on upset alert because
I guess we gotta say that Nebraska Northern Iowa is a game we gotta watch, right? We don't know if that was a fluke.
Yeah, Nebraska, Iowa, Georgia, Kentucky. Even though Georgia should win that one pretty handily. Tennessee, Kent State. So no, like you said, it's still relatively cupcake week before we get to the meat of it, but we're getting there. There. Week 4. Now, those of you that are not college football fans, week 4 on is when it really starts picking up. Towards the middle of September on up is when it starts picking up. But yeah, I think that's it. And I think like I said, it's Georgia versus everybody else essentially.
I think that's pretty much the consensus across the board right now.
And Texas. Let's not forget Texas. Let's not, horns up this week. Horns down any other time, but horns up this week. Angel Reese, another one that broke as we ended the show. Angel Reese had a wrist injury that ended her promising season. And I reach for Angel Reese because I know most people now, that you're popular when people like make moves now. Morgan and I are former basketball players. I don't know too many basketball players, and we didn't make it to a level of Angel Reese. Like, have you heard that people are calling it the Angel Reese when you miss the ball because they think she intentionally does it for stats? And I'm like, there's nobody, whether you made it as far as high school or you just play basketball. I just want to tell y'all, as a former basketball player that didn't make it to the level of an Angel Reese, like no one intentionally tries to miss a shot. like all of us think we're going to hit a shot. Even if it's an air ball, no one's throwing up a shot and thinking, oh, man. Like, I mean, we kind of know. If you're good, But, like, most of the time when people are grabbing their own rebounds, it's because they know. But no one's intentionally – because a lot of you basketball ignorant people who don't understand the sport, no one's intentionally throwing up shots to miss and gain rebounds. It's a legit skill to be able to out-rebound 2 or 3 or 4 other people. I don't know if you watch this, but she's literally out-rebounding women that are bigger than her. Like, anytime she's beating Camilo Cardoso to a ball, and I don't know if y'all seen it, but Camilo Cardoso has a lot more size on Angel Reese. Obviously, they're teammates. But anytime she's beating out Camilo Cardoso for a rebound, it's because she wants it more. Like, it's not anything else other than that. So that's a legit skill set. And I hate it, even though we've all but given the Rookie of the Year, obviously by default because of injuries to Cameron Brink and Angel Reese. But it's Caitlin Clark's to lose. But I just wanted to see like them going back and forth for Rookie of the Year, despite the fact of what Caitlin Clark did the last time they saw each other, not to Angel Reese, but to her matchup. And I just wanted to see it go down to the wire, and obviously that wasn't meant to be. But yeah, I hope Angel comes back stronger. I think she needs to develop a more consistent jump shot. If she can do that next year, I think the Chicago Sky will be in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, she looks really good. It's always sad when a rookie season ends due to injury. Because she was looking good, but I appreciate that she's still on the sidelines cheering on her team. That takes a lot. A lot of players, when they get injured, just go and start rehabbing and aren't there supporting and cheering on their team members. But she is, and I think this kind of seals Caitlin Clark as the Rookie of the Year. If there was still doubts, I think this kind of seals it up. But as we kind of continue on with the WNBA, what are your top teams? Mine have not changed since last week.
My top two hasn't changed either. It's still,
yeah. So I mean, I think that until we get to the playoffs, I think these are going to stay relatively the same. You're not going to convince me otherwise.
It's still Liberty, Sun, Lynx. I still think Seattle, even though they did just lose to the Fever. I still think my top four isn't changing. Like I said, the Aces seem like they're slowly getting it together, but I don't think they cracked the top four over. I think our top two always stays the same: Liberty, Sun.
Yeah.
For me, it's always the Lynx because I don't know why you're not. Nafisa is a UConn Husky. I don't know why you don't.
I know.
Nafisa and them, and then you just got the Seattle Storm just because I believe in Jewel Lloyd. So moving right along to then our shout out series.
Yes. So my shout out series, so I'm gonna kind of weekly be shouting out my friends that get married because it's fun to get to go and support them. So my friends Ben and Sarah, now Ben and Sarah Soccer, got married last weekend at a lovely, beautiful reception at a winery in Virginia. It was so much fun. It was great. My mom was there too, so it was great to kind of see some friends from high school, and they're very close family friends. We know the family really well, so it was awesome to kind of get to see them and that. And then my other shout out is my kiddos, my dance team. They started school back up. We've had practice all week, so dance team season is in full swing. They work really hard as student athletes, and I'm always so proud of them. So I'm excited for this to be another crazy, awesome season for them.
Yeah. So my shout outs, I want to shout out the Philadelphia 76ers for everything that they did the past few days. They did like a little give back drive in the Camden, New Jersey school districts. They gave out those bags and stuff that the kids need. Then they're kind of doing some sponsorships there. And in Philly, they opened up a basketball court in deep North Philly. So shouts out to the Sixers for all they do around this tri-state area. Who else am I shouting out? Shouts out to, everybody doing their thing right now. School just started. So shouts out to all you people, whether you're in college, kindergarten, pre-K, whatever. Shouts out to you for starting school. And, unfortunately, as we've seen, we just saw it in Omaha, Nebraska 2 days ago or a day ago. Still some things that we got to get right with this whole situation. But, it's good to see that despite all that positive and negative stuff going on in these schools, that all of y'all are still thriving. We love it. Keep doing what you're doing, in the good times and the bad times. So moving right along is that it? Yeah, that's it for me. Moving right along to He's Not Him. So everybody's favorite segment. You go, Morgan, because I'm getting the phone call right now. So,
yeah. So my He's Not Him, I kind of alluded to this. Deshaun Watson, one of my least favorite people in the sports world. Actively, I just do not like him as a person. I will never really be able to support the Browns after they gave him that ginormous contract, after everything that was going on. I Another allegation has come out. This time it is not a massage therapist. It still involves massages, but not a massage therapist. Jane Doe came forward to and is suing him again for sexual misconduct on a date. It's a gross story if you read it. We are not here to say whether he is guilty or not. It's all obviously alleged at this point, but I'm just not his biggest fan, and that is okay. And he's not him, because he just I'm sick of seeing him on my television. I want him gone. I don't know if she's not her, but I do have another he's not him. Aaron Rodgers is doing a television show on Netflix. And last week, I think he was also my he's not. No, I think Hassan Reddick is my he's not him. Aaron Rodgers is my he's not him like half the time. I'm so sick of hearing that man talk. I just play football. Play football. You didn't look good last week, so play football and go out there and try and win a game. And then my they aren't them is also has to do with the Jets. It's their entire defense, because you guys are not allowed to be that cocky and that bad. You can be cocky and good, but you can't be cocky and that bad. So get it together.
The one thing I'll give Morgan, she's consistent on this. Like, she's consistent on you can't be cocky and can't be bad. As long as
I love a good cocky player. My favorite. Awesome. Love to watch it. But you can't be cocky and bad. It's not okay.
Yeah, so my he's not him. Unfortunately, or fortunately, for those of you that know me, Deion Sanders, man. Like I said, you can't be. I mean, to his credit, to being fair to him, he hasn't been the bombastic person that he was last year, making it all about him instead of about the team. So I'll give him that. But you can't do all this stuff, have all this swag, be doing. And obviously all football coaches do this. They do the orientation for the freshmen coming in, whether they're D1, D2, D3. But you can't be that bombastic, that especially like over the offseason when you were saying I'm going to hit the transfer portal. Thought you were Kim Mulkey, man, but it don't work like that in football. Like you gotta get an offensive line, you gotta get a defensive line, and you can't start out 0-2, especially after all the trash you talked about. Matt Rule, Dylan Raiola. Oh yeah, that's one of my shout outs. So shout out to Dylan Raiola, because it's very rare that people say stuff and then actually back it up. Like Dylan Raiola said, because somebody asked him who was better between him and Shedeur Sanders, and he said there's levels to this. Shedor's not on my level, and he proved it. So and that's my he's not him. Like Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, like a lot of people blew that smoke up you. I was one of the few people saying, nah, you're not him yet. You gotta back it up. And sorry, my phone was off the hook today. That he didn't back it up, and I'm of the mindset that that's my he's not him until Coach Prime, Deion Sanders shows me otherwise by winning more than 4 games, which I don't think he'll do this year. So until he does that, I'll get off him. But until then, I'm staying on him, just like I do Kim Mulkey, and she's actually won national titles. But so my she's not her. Again, Kathy Engelbert, just because, like I say with Kim Mulkey, Morgan came up with a statement that could have been more neutral than what I said. But how we're just 2 working journalists. We do this all the time. We're not PR. We're not spin specialists. I do know a few PR spinners, but I'm not one of them. But I mean, we came up with a better statement than what you came up with. And you got asked a question on a live interview and had time to think about it, and you couldn't do it. So, I don't think my she's not her is Kathy Engelbert, because I don't think she's a person that can deal with the prosperity of a league and actually take care of the concerns of her constituency, which is everybody, but specifically in a league of 80 to 90% Black players. So that's my she's not her. My they aren't them. Y'all know that I'm the number one, not number one, but I'm top 3 in the Caitlin Clark stands are extreme. So when they do something negative, I got to give it to them, man. What are you doing, y'all? I joked off air. Oh my goodness, a 22-year-old isn't as conservative as you thought she was, all because she liked Taylor Swift's endorsement of VP Kamala Harris. Now y'all dumping her. I see like people are like
she hasn't even come out and said that that's who she's voting for.
Yeah.
She just liked a post on Instagram.
Well, she said, well, they asked her and she said, all I want, she didn't step in it. So I'll give her credit. She just said people should vote. It was just a like. That's what she said. You know, she's 22 years old. She went to the University of Iowa. You know, y'all hear the way she talk. It's really not surprising that she's not conservative to me. Like, but, you know, we don't know what she is. She could be a moderate. She could be independent. You know, we don't know. But she's 22 with a college degree. So, I mean, you read between the lines of what you think she is. But, you know, her fan base, her extreme side of the fan base, just dumping her over a like because you can't use her. And she said this, stop, to her credit, stop using her as an avatar for your racial wars. So I totally understand it. I got it. My They Aren't Them to Caitlin Clark's fans because I thought y'all were with her. I thought y'all were riding. She's the face of the WNBA. And then she comes out and does something you don't like, and then you're dumping her. And y'all be the same people saying facts over feelings, all this other stuff. The other side, the snowflakes, and all it takes is Caitlin Clark liking something on Instagram, and y'all dumping her. Like, oh my goodness. The alpha male crowd is pretty beta, even though I don't believe in that. So I don't really understand it. But my They Aren't Them, Caitlin Clark's extreme fan base, and the fact that they're taking L's, I love it. Don't love that she's getting thrown under the bus for just liking something that to me should have been pretty obvious just looking at her. But for those of you that didn't know, like I said, read between the lines. I'm just guessing here, no sourcing. She has not come out and said I'm a Democrat, I'm this, I'm that. But, you know, I'm just saying, 22 years old, college degree, read between the lines. like, you know, that's all. That's my They Aren't Them. Caitlin Clark stance in the extreme side of her fans.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. It was great hanging with you. Enjoy your college games, enjoy your NFL games, your WNBA games, baseball, everything that's on this weekend. Enjoy. The weather starts to cool down a little bit. Grab those pumpkin spice lattes and enjoy it. So give us a follow, like, follow, subscribe, all those fun things. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, deuces.